I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
You were trying to get the officer who murdered George Floyd pardoned, and I just want to know what your reasoning was about that.
Well, George Floyd didn't die because of the police officer. He died largely because of a drug overdose.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Snakewood Net Hustle. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.
Yep. If you can't tell, this Charlie Kirk thing is of interest here in the black box. It's obvious we still tapped into the normal type of content that we cover, but we also are into this. So this title interested me. It's a non-melanated co-pilot, a co-host, and I love their perspective on this subject, whether it's pro or against it. So with no further ado, let's see what they say MAGA has been up to.
All right, this is going to be an important video. People are not talking enough about the far-right school shooting that happened at the exact same time Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Now, both of them are absolutely tragic, and both of them are examples of the same thing. Young white males being radicalized online and then enacting real-world violence. So this video is going to serve a few purposes. Number one, it is going to bring attention to this story. But number two, I want to narrative break. I want to disrupt the right-wing narrative that's been going around that left-wingers are uniquely violent. That is not borne out by any data at all, and it's actually the exact opposite. So stick around till the end. We're going to dig into all of the stats, but let's just start here. The Colorado high school shooter that shot up Evergreen High School at the exact same time Charlie Kirk was shot was, quote, radicalized by some extremist network, Sheriff's Department says. The shooter was identified by police as a 16-year-old student. And we need to talk about this because I was the same age as Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old Charlie Kirk shooter, and I'm only a few years older than this dude. I know people who have gone down this same right-wing rabbit hole. Obviously, they haven't enacted violence, but it's due to a few things. Young white males have always seemed to have been prone to radicalization, but this has only been accelerated by COVID-era isolation that had a lot of young men in bubbles, isolated, and then it's a struggle to regain a lot of these social connections after COVID. I've seen it happen. I had to intentionally break out of my bubble after COVID was over. Some people don't break out of that bubble.
It's crazy you say that because when COVID came, I felt like the world had adjusted to my speed into my bubble. And as it went back, I remained because COVID was my lifestyle already.
And they continue to be isolated and get sucked down these algorithms. And then we are seeing an acceleration of these shootings happen. I'm also pretty sure that both foreign and domestic actors are trying to incentivize this. So Russia benefits by weakening social cohesion and more school shootings. China benefits when we have more radicalization, and politicians inside the United States are promoting this type of radicalization and insane rhetoric. But a 16-year-old student who authorities say opened fire at his Colorado high school on Wednesday, wounding 2 classmates and then turning the gun on himself, was believed to be, quote, radicalized by some extremist network. Officials with local...
Now, I just want to make a note. I'm only one to be aware of this for the same reasons Charlie Kirk was aware of black-on-black crime. I have no solutions, no suggestions. It's not my issues, but he spoke on black crime, and he actually died speaking on black crime when that was not the subject at all. How ironic is that? But yes, here he is discussing white-on-white crime, and we're just spectators, similar to Charlie spectated on the black-on-black crime that he died discussing.
Sheriff's office said. The gunfire at Evergreen High School broke out at about 12:24 p.m. local time. 3 students were taken to the hospital in critical condition. 1 student jumped on another to save his life. The suspect was identified as 16-year-old Desmond Holly, and he was radicalized by some social network that was just littered with anti-Semitism, Nazism, far-right insanity. Another article reads, Colorado school shooting suspect reportedly expressed neo-Nazi white supremacy views online. Now, again, we need to disrupt the right-wing narrative. So to do that, I'm going to bring in Mockler Media's lead policy advisor, Micah Irfan. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and watch until the end. Micah, let's just start here. Can you break down some of the raw facts as it pertains to right-wing violence versus left-wing violence?
Right. Of course, we are Democrats. We're liberals. We don't support any sort of violence. And a lot of the narrative that's come from the right is that all acts of violence from the left are somehow attributable to Democrats. Totally not true. This last shooter, in the Kirk shooter, is somebody who wasn't a registered Democrat. There's no indication they ever voted for a Democrat. So we don't own this shooting at all, and we completely condemn it. But if we do want to get into a comparison about which side, left or right, commits more acts of political violence, well, the data is clear. There's 3 studies that have been conducted on this, one by the Prosecution Project, which shows overwhelmingly right-wing ideologies are responsible for more criminal cases of political violence. Another study was done by Alex Narasa, which is a person who works at the Cato Institute, which is a libertarian right-wing think tank. He tabulated the number of left and right-wing murders over the past 50 years or so.
To all the YNs, my young black brothers, see what these young, non-melanated males are focusing on, discussing very fluently issues of the world. While you talking about what homie did, who, what, and what hood around what corner, what block, they talking about regions, continents, wars, politics, things that affect everybody. While we focused on things that only affect those at the very, very bottom.
And he found that there's substantially more right-wing murders for the purposes of political assassination than left-wing ones. The ADL, another source, shows that the vast majority.
Just imagine encountering individuals similar to this, your age, and having to be there for whatever reason. And just imagine the amount of conversation you'll be capable of engaging in versus what you talk about all the time versus to just think about the range of conversation that they can engage in.
About 75% of politically motivated assassinations and crimes come from right-wingers. So if we want to have this comparison, it's clear that there's more violence coming from the extreme right. To point to one specific example, let's look at Vance Bolter, the guy who killed Melissa Hortman and her husband. Vance was a registered Republican who had preached against homosexuality in church. He had gone to a preacher evangelical boot camp, which was training people to fight in quote unquote spiritual warfare against demonic forces in our country. It is unambiguous that he's right. When he voted for Trump in the last election, he killed a Democrat and her husband and shot a Democratic state senator. So it's clear that there's tons of violence coming from the right. The same day that Kirk was shot, a neo-Nazi shot up a school in Colorado. But of course, a lot of these right-wing pundits don't want to acknowledge that fact because it's not convenient for their narrative.
It feels like there's a huge double standard here as well. Like, we're so desensitized to young white dudes shooting up schools and killing 13 people that we don't even pay attention to that anymore. And we just put so much focus on one. It wasn't even a minority. This person was apparently living with someone who was maybe going to be transgender, potentially over the next year. And that's what they're trying to use to say this was a trans shooting, which is absolutely wild. The point is, we've become so desensitized to these right-wing mass shooters. We can point to the Tree of Synagogue shooting. We can point to the El Paso Walmart shooting. We can point to a black church that was shot up where 9 people were killed by a white supremacist and people carved shit on their guns. They carve white supremacist stuff on their guns. Over the past decade, there's a slew of examples of 10, 25 people being killed in mass shootings, and it's not a competition. We're not trying to compete to see which. It's not that. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if you want to look at the raw stats, right-wing violence is way more prominent due to the way.
It's crazy how no matter what, it's division, them against us. Even when we think it's us against them, they have them against us amongst them, and got the nerve to talk about black on black crime. and they're killing each other on the most sophisticated levels of life. At least we are experiencing this where there's poverty, crime, a lack of development. These are very highly functional, intelligent people, worldly, who know what we would consider the most of everything that's going on, and they're murdering each other over differences of policies and opinions. It's crazy.
Right-wing ideology works. They want to conserve or preserve, according to them. And to do that, they have to essentially go out and kill what they view as a threat to their conservative ideology. And then you have figures in a top-down manner like Donald Trump using rhetoric that only emboldens his supporters, uses rhetoric that gets his supporters at the Capitol on January 6th. Then he pardons them. So I want to ask you this. When Elizabeth Warren said out in the parking lot at Capitol Hill that Democrats have nothing to apologize for, Trump is the first one that needs to apologize. How do you feel about that framework?
I think it's absolutely true. I mean, there's this notion that somehow Democrats are responsible for every extreme, action done by somebody on the radical left. Whenever a lot of these people on the extreme left don't even support the Democrats, they spend more time attacking Democrats than they do attacking Republicans. They shame people that voted for Kamala Harris. Why are we responsible for the heinous acts that some random radical leftist communist does? And meanwhile, they're not responsible for acts that neo-Nazis do or fascists do. In fact, a lot of the assassinations and right-wing, politically motivated murders we see are actually by people that were genuinely Republicans, but they, of course, take no responsibility. This is a ridiculous standard. We have to claim responsibility and apologize for the crimes and terrible actions committed by the very small number of people on the left that do bad things, even when they have nothing to do with us. Meanwhile, they don't have to take any responsibility for people that are explicitly and openly Republicans motivated by Republican rhetoric. This is a ridiculous way to present the current situation we have to deal with in regards to extremism in our country. But it's clear why they're doing it, Adam. The reason why Stephen Miller and all of these other high-profile Republicans are beating this drum that it's the Democrats' fault is because they want purges. There's so many of them that are calling for all Antifa-aligned organizations, left-wing organizations, to be shut down. They want to go silence every single pro-democracy organization in this country with this blanket characterization that all somehow they've contributed to these specific crimes of political violence. It's ridiculous. It's depraved. It's authoritarian. And honestly, unfortunately, it's unsurprising with what we've seen from these people in the past. It doesn't surprise me at all, but it is worthy of criticism because it's terrible what they're doing.
It's funny, just a few days ago, it's not funny, but Brian Kilmeade went on Fox News and was saying that homeless people should face involuntary lethal injection. So on Fox News, which is the most famous news network in America for some reason, they're saying to millions and millions of people across the country that we should involuntarily euthanize people who are on the streets. Yet when we say that that's a little bit authoritarian, they try to say that we're the ones being divisive for using bad words. Maybe they shouldn't be saying this in the first place. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to Micah Irfan. You can find all of his socials in the first link in the description below. We'll do it again, and peace out.
Getting hard trying to live in this land, Lord. I'm sick of paying rent, I wanna be the landlord. Not too many children in my section 8 last night. Lights out, they on section 8. We get constipated from that government cheese. Paying taxes, steady get a government cheese. Don't nothing change no matter who we vote for. So why waste time even going to try to vote for? When you grind so hard, you supposed to see profit. Why we so broke? We supposed to be prophets. We never had a choice on coming to America. I feel something real bad is coming to America. I don't write the mayor, they say I got a right to. But I don't even know where a nigga supposed to write to. I keep my chest up and head to the sky. Until the day I burn up, head to the sky. There was many bad days. Lord, I've had hills to climb and sleepless nights. But when I look around and see what you've done for me, I'll say thank you, Lord, and I won't complain. I'm no devil, I know that I'm God's son. but I still smoke weed with my godson. And even though they say the woman is the backbone, we just wanna see them laying on their backbone. Thumb through the word, but you know what's confusing? Between the experts, it's so much confusion. I want it all, for all that I care about. I want a ball, that's all that I care about. Travel 50 states, broke 48 laws. Ran across a book called 48 Laws. Some say it's bad, some say it's a good book. I say it ain't got nothing on the good book. I ain't tripping on going to the motherland. On the other hand, I like to buy my motherland. What price can we all get peaceful? Stay at war and swear that we peaceful. What's wrong? Can't we all get along? Wanna buy a home, but can't get along. I'm trying to stay focused and write the right rhymes, cause these days everybody write rhymes. My uncle went to the rehab, hooked on morphine. It seems he came out even more fiend. Don't wanna see cuz die or blood bleed. We all lose every time black blood bleed. Holla Hail Mary, a light no candle, but I'm still trying to handle what I can do. I go hard for what I need, so it's ample. Watch me, you won't need no example. Crucial situation, my life in a crisis. Need to trade my life in for crisis. Please forgive me for what I did last night. I don't know, this might be my last night.
Will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Snakewood and that Puzzle. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.